What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Big Dog Brett. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today, I want to welcome you guys back to the video making season, talking about college football. We're going to be talking about, or I'm going to be talking about, the coaches poll top 5. I'm not going to go into 15 different teams. There's really no point. We're just going to talk about the top 5 teams, where they're at, and kind of my thoughts on it. So see if you guys agree. If you don't, that's fine. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. What's your top 5? What do you guys think about it? So first off, I'm just going to jump right into it. I don't agree with the current coaches poll. Big surprise, right? I don't agree because well, let's talk about the teams first. So the coaches poll has Texas at number 1, Penn State at number 2, Ohio State at number 3, Clemson at number 4, and Georgia at number 5. Now, right out of the gate, I can go ahead and tell you that I think week 1, Texas is playing Ohio State. So no matter what your thoughts are of those two teams playing, or those two teams being ranked where they're at now, that's going to change really quickly. Ohio State's probably going to go to the number 1 spot or down to below 5, because I don't see any other way that could happen. But we'll get back to that in a little bit. So Texas won. I need somebody to help me understand why Texas is number 1. And if you want to talk about because it's Arch Manning, I'm going to need a much better reason than just because it's Arch Manning, the Manning last name. I'm an advocate, and I was at the time an advocate now, that I 100% disagree with his ranking that he had out of high school. I'm not going to say that there was any funny business going on, but somebody's got to show me something, because I don't understand how in the world he ended up with the points that he ended up with. His total yardage, and I'll put some stats up here for you guys to look at. So Arch Manning's stats were, I guess, kind of ho-hum, in my opinion, for the ranking that he had. His junior year, he threw for 1,841 yards. His completion percentage was 64%. He had 26 touchdowns and 4 interceptions. I don't see any rock star performance here. His senior year, he had 2,200, or we'll say 2,270, right at 2,300. His completion percentage was 61%. He threw for 34 touchdowns, which was much better, and only 2 interceptions, which was great. But his entire book of work for high school was a little over 8,500 yards. His entire completion percentage was 64.5%. By the way, his senior year was his worst year for completion percentages, and he only rushed for 81 yards. His total touchdowns were 115, and he had 19 interceptions, which is great. Only 19 interceptions his whole college career. If we jump over here, and I'm sure I'll throw the stat up here for you guys to look at. If you look at Gunnar Stockton, Gunnar Stockton had more yards in any 3 seasons, or any 3 years combined, than Arch Manning had total. So Arch Manning had 8,500 and some change total. If you take Gunnar Stockton's 3 worst years, he was still more than, is that right at? He's more than 8,500, something like that. It's absolutely crazy. So 3,300, 3,400 is 6,500 plus another 3,000. Do the math with me. Yeah. So completion percentages for Gunnar Stockton, who threw the ball more, was 65%, 71%, 67%, 72% in his senior year. He threw for 177 touchdowns. That's correct, 177, which is about 50% more touchdowns than Arch Manning threw. His QBR rating was higher, and he had less interceptions. So Arch Manning had 19 interceptions. Gunnar Stockton had 17 interceptions and about 4,000 more yards, or maybe even 5. Gunnar Stockton threw for 13,652 yards. But people want to convince you that Arch Manning was a much better quarterback. You can see the stats from Max Reps here. This is not some unknown website. This is a reputable website. People know who Max Preps are. Jeez, I can't even talk today. But hey, real quick, news flash. I left off one of the stats I wanted to tell you guys about. With the Arch Manning stat situation, it's worse when I tell you this. Arch Manning's rushing yards for his entire career was 748. Gunnar Stockton's was 4,073. So 4,073. Gunnar Stockton only had 1 year where he had fewer yards than the entire total of Arch Manning, and he was only short by 709 to 748. So he was short by 39 yards of matching Arch Manning's entire season total every single year he played in. By the way, when you're at almost 1,600 yards. But just thought I would share that with you real quick. But let's put Texas at number 1 because Arch Manning, right? Okay. So you go back and look at what Arch Manning did last year. Arch Manning played in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games for a total of 61 completions out of 91 pass attempts. That's the 67% QBR. 2 of those games were against Mississippi State and ULM, 2 of the worst teams on their schedule. When he did play against Georgia, he went 3 for 6 for 50% and got sacked twice. He didn't play. The other team he played against was Florida, in my opinion. The other decent team he played against was Florida. Guess what happened? He went 3 for 6. He was 50%. Not the same as Gunnar Stockton. Gunnar Stockton, when he played in 2023, he didn't have as many reps as 2024, but in 2023, he had a 63% completion. And when Georgia played against Texas with Gunnar Stockton in the second half, he come back from behind and won the game. In that 2024 season, he threw 45 for 64 for a 70% completion percentage. He had 440 yards, guys. So you're telling me that you're going to rank Texas number 1 because Arch Manning. Got it. Makes total sense. If you wanted to tell me that you think Penn State should be ranked number 1, I would be 100% okay with it. 100% okay. You've got Drew Allar coming back. He's got 3,300 yards. He's got almost a 67% completion percentage. He's experienced, has some quality receivers he can throw to. I would say, you know what? Makes sense to me. I would be okay with Penn State being at number 1. But why in the heck have you got Ohio State at number 3? I don't understand this one either. Ohio State won't even tell you who their starting quarterback is. They say that because they don't know. I disagree with that. I believe Ryan Day knows exactly who he's going to pick. I think it's going to be Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin, he has 12 attempts all of last year, but they say he's the guy. I don't foresee any reason why Ohio State should be ranked number 3. I don't. Out of all of the quarterbacks up here, he's the second least experienced in play. At least he did play, I think, 1 snap against Tennessee. If you go back and you look at Arch Manning, Arch Manning lost against Georgia, played against Florida for 12 snaps. So I guess Julian Sayin is probably the least experienced in the top 5 here. But you can't put Arch Manning at number 1. Can't say Texas at number 1 because of Arch Manning, and then say Julian Sayin at number 3 because Ohio State, and then not give Drew Allar his credit. Same thing goes for Cade Klubnik. I almost called him Clade. I did call him Clade. Cade Klubnik. While this guy is not some type of Heisman candidate year in and year out, he's been super consistent, in my opinion. His first year in 2022, not stellar. Really got a little better, in my opinion, 2023 and 2024. I thought he did pretty well. I mean, he threw for like 3,600 plus yards, 36 touchdowns. He had 6 interceptions. Not terrible. He had 336 yards against Texas. Now, Clemson has had to do a little bit of moving around with parts and pieces. This is a playoff team for sure, guys. This is a playoff team for sure. I do not see any way that you can't, if you're going to give all this credit to Texas, that's got a ton of moving pieces that have been completely replaced, a whole bunch of stuff that's got to be rebuilt. And you're going to say, oh, because of Arch Manning, which I have seen a lot of Arch Manning. That's why I keep saying that. And not give credit to Cade Klubnik. This guy is experienced. I mean, he has over 1,000 passing attempts. Over 1,000 passing attempts. He's played some football. He's been in some big games. He knows what he's doing. Experience matters at this level, and I'm sorry, I don't feel like Clemson or Cade Klubnik are getting the proper attention and respect they deserve. I'll come back to Clemson in a second. Let's talk about Georgia. Georgia sent a boatload of players to the NFL. Tell me if tell me if you've heard this song before. Georgia sent a bunch of players to the NFL. Georgia has a quarterback who really hasn't played that much. Georgia's replacing a bunch of pieces, and Georgia got some people out of the transfer portal. So Georgia should be terrible. Except last year was the worst year Georgia has had since Kirby Smart started. We had the most drop passes in the SEC, the number 1, the number 2, and the number 3 players. All 3 came from Georgia of most drop passes. Georgia had one of the worst running games in all of the SEC, had the most drop passes of I think any Power 5 school at some point, if not at the end of the season, definitely most of the season. And Georgia still won the SEC. Georgia still went to the playoffs. Well, we don't have Carson Beck. 100% we don't have Carson Beck. Georgia also has restructured a lot of stuff on their offensive line. Georgia's offensive line last year was terrible. Maybe one of the reasons why Carson Beck lied and said he was going to the draft and then transferred to Miami was because he didn't want to play behind that line again. Most of that line is gone. Granted, some of them went to the NFL. That means they must be pretty good. But Georgia clearly had some problems getting that team to block properly and protect the quarterback as well move the ball. So Georgia has moved some other pieces into place. And according to fall camps, it's looking really solid. Georgia brings in, Georgia gets Colby Young back. They bring in Zachary Branch. There's another guy, I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. But that particular player, it's going to drive me crazy. I'm just going to look it up. It's Colby Young. I think we talked about him. Noah Thomas. He was a wide receiver from, was it Vanderbilt or Texas A&M something, one of their best receivers. Georgia has a much better receiving core now somehow than we had last year. Even if those guys would have came back, when you lose the 3 players that had the most drops, that's addition by subtraction, even if I can't talk. So I think Georgia's going to be in a better place than it was last year. And even in a down year, Georgia was still capable and willing and able to win the SEC. You can't hold Georgia back for an inexperienced quarterback and then push Arch Manning to the number 1 spot and then push whomever they're going to put at quarterback at Ohio State to number 3 and then push Georgia down to number 5. Do I think Georgia should be ranked number 1? No, I don't. I don't think Georgia should be ranked number 1 or, newsflash, surprise, not even number 2. If you had to ask me to pick 2 teams right now for number 1, number 2, I would probably say Clemson number 1 or Penn State number 1. And we could go back and forth all day about which one is which. But for argument's sake, I'm going to say I think that it's so stinking close, dude. It's so stinking close. I'm going to go with Cade Klubnik. I like Cade Klubnik. He's gotten much better. He has a slightly better QBR. He has slightly more yards, maybe 300 yards or so. But I really feel like that line that Clemson is going to put on the field is going to be really good. And we get to see them play LSU, I think, this year. So I'm excited to see that. But when you're talking about putting a team, I think experience matters. And I think that if I was going to lay it out in team performance, I would go number 1, Clemson. Number 2, Penn State. Number 3, Georgia. Number 4, Ohio State. Number 4 / Texas. Texas has got a lot of talent. So does Ohio State. I don't think that Arch Manning has enough experience now to warrant him a number 5 position. I just don't. I would put Oregon or Alabama or Notre Dame over Texas right now. I know Texas fans are going to be mad, but I want you to fault me on the quarterback play, because there's no way. I just don't feel like, and maybe I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll come back and admit I'm wrong. But I don't believe Arch Manning is the new football Jesus at quarterback position. I just don't believe it. So leave your thoughts down below. Let me know how wrong I was. Appreciate you guys. Hit like and subscribe if you've made it this far. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be doing more videos as we get closer to college football kickoff. We'll be doing lives as we normally do. We'll be doing Wednesday night shows, just like we may move that to a Thursday night. My Wednesdays are pretty full now. We'll see what happens. We might still do Wednesdays. I don't know. Yeah. So appreciate you guys being here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I want to move this microphone around a little bit more. See you guys real soon. Have a great day. You know what I say. God bless. Go Dogs.